Welcome to the First Crack preview round. 20 kicks off Thursday night footy. Hawthorn Carlton from the MCG, 6:30 on Fox Footy. Before we get to the ins and outs, welcome David, King and Leigh Montagna.
Kingy.
Lee. And just quickly, we're going to have a verdict on Stephen May any minute, so stick around for that one. But Joey, where do you sit on this verdict?
We'll find out what is reasonable in approaching a contest. I think he gets off. I think it was reasonable in the circumstance.
Doesn't sound like they've formatted the best case, the AFL, to me.
Yeah, stop prop. Not
it's
sure
like
you
watching
can do
two
that.
jockeys in the steward's room and you're on the one that's talking awfully.
Yeah, You've torn your ticket up, you reckon, Kingy?
Craig Williams is speaking beautifully on the other side. Oh, we're gone.
Yeah, I've gone to collect when Craig Williams is on. Let's have a look at the ins and outs. So 2 changes for the Blues. So Akers and Mackay come in, and I think it's fair to say the Hawks have daylight. Will Day comes back into this lineup, probably ahead of schedule as well. So as we look at it right now, that's a welcome return for the Hawks, isn't it?
Well, by all reports, he's been training the house down. They've thrown him in to be the opposition in the last couple of weeks, and he's destroyed training sessions when they're trying to just format what the opposition are likely to do. Great to see him back. We want our stars playing up and healthy and ready to roll. So it's a big inclusion. Weddle's the only one really now to make a meaningful change.
Yeah, that's it. And we just wonder what we're going to get from Carlton with the emotion around the Sam Docherty retirement. So we wish him well. What a true leader of the footy club and really the AFL he has been. So I'm sure Carlton will want to put their best foot forward for him.
One of the most resilient careers you'll ever see, Sam Docherty, so well done. Joey, it's a great segue, though, into Thursday night footy because your first crack is around Hawthorn.
Yeah, it is. I just had a look at Hawthorn this afternoon, and I just thought it's really fascinating when we take a bit more of a deep dive to where they're at, because with the return of Will Day, their best player, as you said, with Mitch Lewis returning last week and only Josh Weddle on their injury list, really, from what they did at the back end of last season, from what the talk was about them over the pre-season, and to be premiership favourites, I think they were after rounds 4 or 5. It's interesting now looking at people doing their ladder predictors and having them maybe finishing out of the 8. And I think it would be a massive disappointment if Hawthorn from here, with the list that they've got, don't make finals, and why this game is just crucial. It is just a must-win game for the Hawks, because when you take a look at the way they've gone about this list build, in some ways Sam Mitchell has fast-tracked this list build, because those 8 players have come into the team in his time at Hawthorn. They've really topped up with senior players from other clubs, and the list profile is really fascinating.
Do you agree with those moves?
Oh, I've got no issue with who they want to bring in, but it's just interesting to when you think about the Hawthorn team this year, and that's what I'm looking at the round 19 team, because we can't compare them to the rest of the teams as of yet. But when you take a look at with the most experience of 100-plus games, so we've spoken about this off air, once you get over 100 games, Dick, I reckon you're pretty comfortable with your skin, your role, and you're a senior player in the team. The Hawks, in round 19, had the 4th most 100-gamers. They had 12. Obviously, Collingwood and Geelong have the most with sort of 16 and 15. But what was interesting when you look at the flip side is the teams with players under 50 games. And the Hawks have the most in the competition. Sorry, the least amount of 50 gamers. They only had 3 50 gamers play last weekend. Cal Shadir, Nick Watson and Bailey McDonald, who was the sub. So really what I'm saying is their list is built for the now. This team should be ready to go this season. And if they don't make finals, it's going to be a massive blow, because the way that they've set it up, they've got players that are in the right age bracket. And those 100 gamers we mentioned don't include now Will Day, Mitch Lewis and Lloyd Meek, who've all been in the system 6, 7, 8 years, just haven't quite got the 100 games yet because of injury. So I'm just fascinated to see how they perform for the rest of the year, because they aren't young. They're not the young upstarts of last year that were sensational at the back end of the season, and we just thought that they were this young group coming through together, but they are more seasoned than that. They've played a lot of footy together. They're the only team in the competition this year to not have played a debutant. So Sam Mitchell is playing it for this year. It's why this is a massive game for them to win. And when you take a look at why it is so important, Dicko, because their next 3 weeks after this, they are playing against 3 of the top 4 teams in the competition. And they're 2 and 5 this year, the Hawks, against top 8 teams. It's a challenge. And in those last, you can see there, the run home. So I want to get your take, because you still had them as one of your premiership favourites, but it hangs by a balance. So they just have to take care of business against the Blues. But how disappointing would it be if they miss finals?
Oh, it's a huge disappointment for the club, because off the back of last year, Port Adelaide, they get over Port Adelaide. I thought they might have given it a tilt.
Yeah,
to win.
100%. They were fine.
And I know you're big on when you've got a great style and it's troubling opposition, you can win.
You have to win it.
There was their opportunity last year. So if they don't make finals this year, that's a fail. Yeah, and I see where you're going. So you're saying it was a Hail Mary in terms of the list, because it's not sustainable? Like they've got up now you think they're not?
No, I just think this is Sam Mitchell's team now. Like, it's not like there's a lot more coming through. Really, Cam McKenzie's the one that is a good enough talent to come back in the team. There's not a lot of young talent underneath. It's not like they've still, their window's opening in a few years' time. The way that their list profile is, it should be this year and the next couple of seasons. So I think if they don't contend this year, I think they'd be disappointed with probably what they're looking at, because Mitch is playing his best team. I mean, Chol is now a fringe best team. Weddle's the only one out. So they've got to take care of business against the Blues, and then they're going to have to win one of those 3 games against the top teams.
But you still think they can go deep?
I'm not sure. I don't think their best footy is near the best other top 5 or 6 teams. So that's why I'm interested to see how it pans out. Do you have them as one of the top 5 or 6 teams that can win it? Because I've got 5 probably ahead of them right now.
I'd love to see Weddle and Day in there.
Yeah.
Because I just
that's
think
right. The time's now with those guys.
They're just game changers, these guys. Like, not just who they replace. We'll get to that later on, but the domino effect of what they allow.
Yeah.
It's something we don't talk enough about, the domino.
Now we get a good look at it with Lewis in the team and Will Day. This is the best version of them. Let's see how far they can go at the back end of the season.
Yep, huge game tomorrow night on Fox Footy. Kingy, we're talking about the Hawks. Now let's talk about the Swans. So they're out of the 8 at the moment. Mathematically, they still think they're a chance. Where do you see their style right now?
Yeah, well, they've won the last 5 against the Giants. Big opportunity this week to get another one. They've won 5 of their last 6. They've beaten 7th, 11th, 15th, 16th, 17th. Everyone's talking up the Swans like they come with a bullet. I just want to have a look at what they're doing, because I think they're playing safe footy. They're damaging at stoppage. They're really good at stoppage. When the game's in clearance, you allow Grundy, you allow Heaney and Warner to take control, feeding out to those players on the outside like Gould and co. But when the game's in general play, in flow, in turnover, I think they're in trouble. So they know that. So they have to play a slower brand of football. It's not necessarily take 120 or 130 marks. It's just take your time in between disposals. We talk a lot about time with ball in hand before executing. And I just wonder if this is going to run aground against the very best teams, because the Giants are flying. They really are. Their last 3 to 4 weeks have been really strong, and they're playing with some real desperation. Now, teams are taking off some corridor ball, and you can see North Melbourne flooding into the corridor there, not giving them what they want. But right now, their punishment with ball in hand is just not there. So they're 9th in the comp for intercept to score, and all their aggression comes from clearance. Best in the comp in terms of turning a 1 clearance onto the scoreboard. But they are defending and playing like this to protect their back 6. Intercept to score against their bottom 6 in the competition, and their D50 is in real trouble. You know, it's in the bottom bracket of the competition as well. So there's a reason they have to play like this, and it only really gets exposed against teams that play aggressive footy and are at the top bracket of the competition. And I just see the GWS Giants right now, if they play as they have the last few weeks, with that dare, that real boldness, I think that they'll get hold of the Swans. Not just win, I think they'll get hold of them.
The damn war will go.
Yeah, well, it looks that way. So, and it's exciting if you're a Giants fan. Yep. And the Swans have had to come from so far back. They don't have some luxuries that others have had. They've got to win every game. I understand that. They've only kicked 100 points once this year, the Swans. So for all the talk we have about how damaging some of their individuals are, as a collective, I don't really see it. They have to play safe football to stay in games and then hope their star factor players take over, which, credit to them, they have.
Do you think Dean Cox is just doing that for this year, for just to try and salvage maybe something of the season and try things, or do you think this is something that is sustainable that he wants to go with in the next year?
Yeah, the great unknown.
Yeah.
And he didn't have some star factor players at the start of the year. They made some moves that didn't work. We need to see the full complement next year. But I'm surprised with the defensive side of the game, given that that's in reasonable order in terms of personnel.
Yeah.
So there's some question marks for me over the next few weeks and into 2026.
Yeah, and the D50 you were talking about in terms of the Swans are going to be under the pump in terms of what the Giants have got in their front half. Time for Kingy. I've played poker with you a number of times, but I've never had 5 jokers in the deck. You pull that one out from your sleeve, have you?
Well, I just want to have a chat with you guys, because I think there's 5 jokers left in the AFL deck for the back half of the season, and the names you're familiar with. What can you get out of these guys when they come back in? And again, I want to talk about the domino effect. So what effect does Sam Taylor come back in having to that back 6? Everyone gets a lesser grade opponent. Jordan De Goey comes in. And if it's like Jake Stringer, does he get the third, fourth, fifth best defender? Good luck if that's the case, because not only will he put that on the scoreboard, you make change, and then someone else gets off the chain. Brent Daniels, we talk a lot about when he's in absolutely airborne form, and then we just drop off. He has a huge impact on this team, and Will Day, you just touched on, Joey. But I want to talk about Hayden Young and the effect that he had last week. So those names, and there's a few others. You can say Rochelle or Tuke Miller or Dan Rioli when he comes back, Adam Treloar. But to me, these are the five big ones. These are the gems we're waiting to see come back in. Hayden Young comes back in. It's not just what he does ball in hand. It's how he sets up and where he stands and how aggressive he is. He knows they need to score here, right? So if you're a younger player or a lesser ranked player, you're just tracking the footy. You're not really backing out like this and getting to the corridor and saying, OK, we need to go. Handball misses him, no problem. Allen overruns it, he's back in again. So good players have a happy knack of creating incredibly offensive football. He'd been missing for a dozen weeks and come straight back in and did this. Now, same thing here, clean, draw a crowd. I love players who can draw a crowd. 4 players coming to him there. You can't not have easy ball on the outside when you've got someone like that drawing a crowd. And then away you go, aggressive again. This one here, everyone's talking about the kick. He points early. Here it is. If you're in any doubt, that's where I want it, right there. There's no one. So Bamford looks in and says, well, you know, what do I do?
In the end, it's an easy kick, isn't it? Really?
I've got the star factor player saying, just put it in. Now, this kick, Daniel Hoyne tells us, is a 15% hit rate. The hardest kick for the day was that kick there. 1 in 7, you hit that. So it just shows, look, there's a bit of brilliance there. We know he's a top-line player. But the effect it has on games is the aggressive mindset and the positioning and all these things that I think we overlook at times. So what effect will those 5 names have? Taylor, Day, De Goey, Daniels and Young. Who's going to have the most effect, do you think, out of those guys?
I still think Jordan De Goey. I think Collingwood, as great as they've been defensively, they're lacking a bit of something forward of the ball. Yeah, forward of the ball. And I just think De Goey, who we know is a big finals performer, he's done it a couple of times. I reckon he could explode.
I wrote down here running in the Bulls. Jordan De Goey, after a spell, you let him go.
Yeah.
It's mayhem, it's chaos. But I love the young vision as well, because the Dockers players know how good his inside contested game is. They're sitting out going, no, he's going to get us this ball. It's just a matter of who's going to get the ball. So he is probably not the joker in the deck. He's the ace in the deck for Fremantle.
I think his minutes will be the most tracked minutes of any player in the next 4 to 5 weeks. They've got to get him healthy and feeling good about his body in all final series.
Joey, let's stick with the Dockers, an unheralded Docker, Switkowski.
Yeah, well, touch about Hayden Young, but there are some guys that just don't look sexy and don't get the recognition, but their impact and the way they just get the job done is significant. And this guy, King, he's like the golf tee. He just sets everything up for the big dogs to whack it, because if you take a look at the highest rated players in the competition since round 12, Dick, go have a look at the names on that list and tell me the one that stands out. It's the man highlighted in purple in 4, but he's just a guy that just continues to get things done for his team that people don't realise. So the last 4 weeks, only the 5 goals, but he's had 9 score assists, 33 score involvements. He's a smart footballer, he can defend, and they've missed him as well. He's been injured at times this year, but when he's played, he has significant impact, and just another one of these young not young anymore, but just these unheralded Dockers that have just contributed to the way that Fremantle have gone on this run and given themselves a real chance in this season. And I think what's great about him is he complements the other forwards they've got now, the small forwards. When you think about Shea Bolton, he's the pure X factor that could do anything. Murphy Reid is that real clever user. They've got a Michael Frederick, he's just their genuine speed. You know, they're out and out, get out the back. But this guy's got a bit of everything about him. They love him internally, and I think it's just worth giving him some recognition what he's been able to do.
He's just texted through and said, surely, Joe, I'm a little bit sexy?
Yeah, a little bit.
No sexiness.
Oh, come on.
No sexiness about Switter at all, but he just gets the job done.
Not often we call them out as ugly, is it?
I mean ugly the way that he plays, not the guy's a looking bloke.
All right, let's take a break. Let's check in with Bernie Vince from PointsBet with his first crack for the weekend.
He's not ugly.
Thanks, guys. My first crack is the nervous 90s for Jezza. We are all on Jeremy Cameron watch for the remaining 5 games of the season, remembering it's plus finals as well. So let's have a look at these 5 games he's got. All teams outside the top 9. I think the Cats and Jeremy Cameron can really clean up in these 5. Plus, he's got up to 9 games remaining if you include these finals. A lot of talk around whether he can kick 100. We haven't seen that for a long time. I don't think he can get to 100, but I think he can get to 90. And here at PointsBet, we'll give you $7.50 for that. I reckon that's great value. All those odds plus a whole lot more can be found on the PointsBet app. Have a great week.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.
weekend. Round 20 all kicks off with the Sydney Derby. It used to be the Battle of the Bridge, but it's got real serious up there in New South Wales. Then we head across to the Q Clash, the Gold Coast Suns and Brisbane, and the Western Derby. This has been going for 20 years, better than a world title fight, this one. And then we go to the Inform Adelaide Crows and Port Adelaide for the showdown. Kenny, will he salute in his last ever showdown against the Inform Crows? I reckon this is going to be an absolute beauty for the showdown. Kenny's going to
got
just
one more
fire
inspirational speech in him. I don't know if it'll be enough though, but hopefully they put up a good fight.
One more inspirational speech.
One more big one.
You're saying don't waste it this
Well,
week.
you know, he's got, Port Adelaide, they've got sort of every fourth week, they've got something. Kenny's got something for them. I hope it's this one, but it's going to be a tough ask.
Yep, we'll just go out swinging, Kenny. That's all we want from you. Let's talk about Adelaide, Kingy. So they're in rare air at the moment, aren't they, in terms of their form?
Unbelievable. And defensively, we're talking a lot about them now. Everyone wants to talk about the three tools. Do they work? Don't they work? All that sort of nonsense forward of the ball. I'm talking about the back six, the men's department down back, where the nuts and bolts operators generally reside. They're the hardest team to punish when you turn the ball, or they turn the ball over. They're the hardest to go back at and punish in the competition right now. Just have a look at how they do it. Intercept marking is the purest form of an audit for your team. Intercepting and then being able to score. It means you're great defensively and organised and got your positioning right, and then you're able to punish back the other way. It's the purest form of turnover. And you can see there, uncontested intercept marks are a real guide for me. It means that there's a lot of cohesion behind the ball, and they've just got a different mix behind the ball. And I want to look at them individually and just show how they do it differently. I just think Keane is a body then ball man. Take body, push the opposition off, and then go back, or just get great positioning. This is really basic stuff, right? But he does it so well. He is absolutely first class. See here, body then ball, bang, ball. Good protection for Worrell to come in. Worrell. I like this guy. I think there's a bit of Guy McKenna about him.
Yeah, he's got a bit of that about him.
He doesn't necessarily play on anyone. He's always... I've called him Rowie. Roll off Worrell. R-O-W. He never seems to play directly on opponent. He's prepared to roll and go and be third man in. Incredibly brave. We showed him last Sunday night, Joey. I just think when you look at this group behind the ball, we've got to start talking about them like we do the GWS Giants or the Brisbane Lions, because it's not necessarily recognised talent just yet, but I think this is how all great teams start. They don't really care about reputation. Everyone wants to highlight Michael Annie, or they want to highlight the run and gun of Miller. I just think these guys in the air are the reason they're going to go deep and, if not, win this thing in 2025.
It's a good point.
Go, Joey.
I was going to say, and the other thing too is they trust their pressure around the ball. They are a great contest pressure team, so that allows them to take the intercept marks. But watching the game between the Gold Coast and Adelaide back during the week, it just stood out to me, King, and we're on a similar page looking at this game back. But I wanted to call Adelaide the bully boys, not so much of the aerial stuff that you've shown throughout the year, but more the way that they are breaking tackles. They are the number one tackle breaking team in the competition, and it stood out with just how strong they are around the footy, and it's in all facets of the game. You've got some of the midfielders, you've got some players ahead of the ball, and I just love the way that they go about it. So that's one for me. They are the best tackle breakers in the comp. They're strong. Curtin, Dawson, Rankin's top 5 in the comp. He's sneaky strong. Isaac Rankin.
Sneaky strong.
Sneaky strong.
Like
the way that he can just fend off and break tackles, and it's just another facet of their game that probably has gone under the radar. That this is a big part of why they're one of the teams to beat now with the way that they're playing their footy. So really impressive.
So with tackle breaking, you draw an extra defender.
Yep,
so you're taking three there and you get to the outside and the game becomes easy. So I like the guys that create a crowd, that draw a crowd in, like this does. Draw a crowd in, get to the outside and it's happy days. It's a good stat. It's one of those sneaky stats that show that things are in really good order in contest.
Yep, and just stick around because the tribunal is still deliberating, so we will have that May result to you as soon as we hear it. Can't believe it's gone that long. What did it start at, King? 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
And we're almost
Jared and
8.
Gary would be really disappointed they've missed out on this scoop and you're going to get it.
Yeah, well...
Okay? There'll be a demarcation dispute during the week.
Are we getting Zeets on?
We'll bring the heat with Zeets. Yeah.
Zeets.
He'll stick around till 2 a.m. if he has to. He loves a story.
On his third Nando's.
Let's just quickly, before we get off Adelaide, Kingy, because I love the fact you brought up the stability behind the ball. We saw at Gold Coast, I showed the stats on First Crack on Sunday, they had more inside 50s, but what a luxury to have, and they don't cheat through the midfield. They put the pressure on through there as well, so they're almost the complete package going into a September action, aren't they?
Yep. They are. They're going to be challenged differently. Everyone learns. So you get about 6 weeks, I reckon, to play your way. and then other teams go, righto, what are they doing? What are they up to? How are they getting away with this? What are they doing? That's why it's so hard to do what the Brisbane Lions are doing and what Collingwood are doing, to back up, to repeat year after year high-level performance, because you get picked apart.
Are you concerned with Adelaide in regards to winning the premiership, that very rarely do we see a team not play finals for an 8-year period and then come in first year win it? That's very, very rare. Is that the only thing really that's maybe holding them back?
Oh, maybe
if
you're full of kids, maybe. But I think they're seasoned campaigners. There's guys everywhere in this team that have been around for, 6,
they probably
8,
should
10
have played
years.
finals a couple of years ago.
And they had a lull that they probably shouldn't have had.
Yeah.
The club, got a bit wobbly there for a while. So I don't necessarily see it that way. They're playing good enough footy. Their point of difference is clearly forward of the ball, whilst being brilliant behind it.
Well, you just said, you've got to win it. When you're doing something that they can't counteract, you've got to win it, and Adelaide's chance is definitely this year. Joey, Red Rooster crunch time, and we did touch on them when Adelaide belted them last week, but the Gold Coast, where do you see they're at?
Yeah, I went and take a look at a bigger deep dive. They are on the slide, the Gold Coast Suns, with the way that their footy is shaping up since about round 12. So we know after 11 rounds they were 8-2, sitting in the top 4, and we were confident that this was the product that Damien Hardwick wanted. But since then they've gone 3-4. But when you dive even deeper, a couple of those wins, they've only done it with 30 or 40 minutes of footy, where they've actually been able to pile on a big score, and then for the rest of the game they haven't really been able to get it done. So that they beat Melbourne. You remember they had that 36-point lead in that first quarter, but from then on Melbourne actually outscored them by 3 goals. The Essendon win, the scores were basically level at three-quarter time against Essendon, and then they outscored them by 38 points in the last quarter. Blew that one open, that made the margin look really good, but it was a 30-minute burst. And even the Pies game, we know about the first quarter and a half against the Pies before Collingwood really came storming back. So there are some question marks. I think they've lost their consistency, and when you take a look at some of the numbers, it shows, Kingy, that it's in all facets of their game. So their offence has really dried up from the first 11 weeks, where we were praising them that they were able to get their forward half turnover game going. They'd corrected their scores per inside 50, which had been an issue the previous season, and they were moving the ball. We were showing Noble and Rioli and what they were doing off half-back and how good it was, but you can see what's happened since then. And then on the other side of the coin, you take a look at their defence has dropped away significantly as well, and they aren't getting that phase of the game done. So it's going to be a big ask against Brisbane this week. They're big brothers who have sort of owned them. Can they find a way to win? I still think they sneak into finals because of the run they've got. But I just wonder now whether they're 12 months away from being a real contender.
We just mentioned Adelaide, haven't played finals for 8 years. They come in, can they win it? Are they going to make up the numbers based on what you're saying now, if they do make it, Joey?
I think so this year. It's going to be great for them. They need to play the finals experience. They need to play finals as a club, get the experience, but I don't think they're going to be a threat this year if those numbers continue.
I think some of their younger players, and they might not be young in terms of their birth certificate, I just think they play a bit sort of... It's almost like happy-go-lucky footy. And I think Mac Andrew is probably the pinnacle of that. He's the one that I'm harsh on Mac, but I just see a lot of mistakes and a lot of flippant attacks on the ball. Yeah. I think they've lost their way a little bit with their ability to compete and actually, die for the cause in a football sense. I wonder if they can get that back in the next couple of weeks. They're still gifted enough.
Yep.
Still got enough talent there. OK, they've had the dip. They've lost their way. But their tools at either end really haven't had that 7-week patch that you were hoping to have.
Yep.
And I think maybe there's some change required. I'd throw Mac forward and I'd throw Walters to centre half back and just see if you can create something, see if you can create a rise.
Yeah. And the other issue for them, their midfield have been elite all year. So Rowell and Anderson, Witts couldn't do much more. But some of their other players on the peripheries have dropped away from the first half of the year, in particular Ben Long, your man Dicko, and Johnny Noble. And now for Noble, particularly without Rioli, he needs to find that form that he had at the start of the season, because his last 8 weeks, 6 of his 8 lowest rated games have come in the last 8-week span. He's just dropped off in his output in regard. He's still getting a bit of ball, but not having as much impact with his intercepts and score involvements. And Ben Long, who in the first part of the season, his first 9 games, he kicked 22 goals. He was in All-Australian contention, absolutely. And then he's only kicked 9 in the last 11 games, really dropped away, and that's where he ranks at the club. He was top 4 ranked, and now he's really dropped off. So there are a couple of guys at either end that need to rediscover their form if they are to be a challenger come finals.
And here's another one. I mean, they've got the 3 tools down there, then Ben Long. So he doesn't get as many opportunities for those targeted entries coming in. I'd love to see them just move one of them out of the team.
And you can still isolate Bailey Humphrey as well if you need to. Centre bounce, playing deep.
Right, Chairman of Selectors, Walter or Reid?
Walter's a centre-half back, leave Reed there.
Ooh.
Challenge Mac to do a bit more, throw him around a little bit. I think they've got to get a bit creative with their tools.
All right, and it's against them the record because it's 12 of the last 13 for the Brisbane Lions. So, Kingy and Joey, let's have a look at the race to 15. So we think 15 is going to get it done. We're just talking about finals and how it's going to play out as we get to the end of the season. So, who...
Done the predictor? Have you had a look at the predictor?
I did the predictor.
Yeah,
I did the predictor.
So let's step through. Let's have a look. So where do you want to start? Which team do you want to start with?
Let's start with the Bulldogs.
The Bulldogs. Well, the Bulldogs have got Essendon Giants, Melbourne Eagles and Fremantle. They've got to win 4 of those. So that you'd think they would beat Essendon, Melbourne and the Eagles.
Yep.
They've got to win one of the other 2. Yes or no?
I think they win one of the 2, so I have them on 14 wins.
Yeah, I think they win one of them.
You got them in.
So 14 wins with a big percentage.
A very generous start.
Gets them in. 14 wins with a big percentage.
A soft start. Fremantle, that's a good one. Fremantle. So Freo have got the Eagles, Carlton and Port, and then Brisbane and the Dogs to finish. It's a tough finish for Fremantle.
It is, but if they win these next 3 that they should win, Carlton, West Coast, they get the 15, they're in. So I've got them making it. Not even needing to win one of the last 2. I think they win their next 3.
Yeah, I've got an upset in there.
Which one?
Carlton.
Oh, OK. So Dicko's got Freo out. GWS Giants, Sydney Dogs, North Melbourne, Suns, St Kilda. They only need to win 3.
And again, I've got them winning the 3. So you've just mentioned they'll beat Sydney, they'll beat St Kilda, and they'll beat North Melbourne. So I think they make it.
I think we all agree on that. Now Hawthorn. So you've been sugar so far.
That's why they're the ones I have them missing out.
Carlton, Adelaide, Collingwood, Melbourne, and then Brisbane away.
So they need to win 3. I don't have them beating Adelaide, Collingwood, or Brisbane. They're all, aren't they? Adelaide's in Adelaide. Brisbane's in Brisbane. Collingwood's the one. If they are to make finals, I think they have to beat Collingwood. When I did my predictor...
Because of the Dogs' percentage.
Yep, the Dogs' percentage will be higher than Hawthorn's, and that's why I have them missing out, which is back to my crack at the start, why I think it'd be a massive disappointment if Hawthorn finished 9th from where they've come from last year with the players and the list profile, if they were to miss. What have you got? Have you got Hawthorn in?
I just feel like the Dogs are not going to get it done against the Giants or Freo.
They'll lose both of them, you think?
One of them. Oh, sorry, both of them. They'll lose both of them. Yeah.
Both at Marvel.
Joey, I know it's bad. I know it's bad.
No, that's the beauty of it.
I know they'll beat the other 3, but that worries me.
And we'll be wrong anyway and have to do the ladder predictor next week.
We've never got the predictor right, Dicko, but I've got the Dogs in trouble.
Yeah.
All right, well...
what did you finish with, Dicko? Who'd you have missing out?
I've got Freo missing out.
Yeah.
So someone else is in trouble is Stephen May because it's still deliberating here, but it's been a massive week for Stephen May and it was all caused from this bump.
He looked like he had a play on the ball.
He picked him off.
I would argue that he absolutely thought he had a play on the ball.
To be fair, if I'm being brutally honest, and both sort of making a play at the ball, maybe one person was one step late.
Handball over his head. Yes, Stephen May cleaned him up the other way.
That was a huge hit.
If I were the MRO, I wouldn't have put it up at all. No. A football accident? Yep.
It's a decision that's made it right at the very last second, so I'm not sure what else he could have done.
I don't know whether our game is capable of allowing that anymore.
I don't think he was trying to hurt him. So I think intent should be taken into account with the MRO more than outcome.
He knew exactly what he was doing and he picked him off. This is from a bygone era.
There's going to be those incidents 3 or 4 a year for the rest of the time. That's the way the game is.
Biggest decision in a decade.
And I've heard it's minutes away. It's coming.
It's coming, all right.
We're getting the verdict.
And we will be here till Thursday night footy if we have to for Hawthorn Cup. We are not leaving until this game.
We're not staying that way.
Speak for yourself. Some of us have got things on.
Well, we had a really good debate on Sunday on First Crack. Yeah. Joey, you and I are on the same wavelength in terms of what do you want Stephen May to do? Kingy's been very strong on there should be no head-high contact or you cop the whack. This one here, the AFL, their interpretation is he should have stopped, propped and changed direction. How can he possibly do that at full speed thinking he's going to get that ball in a split second?
That's the fabric of the game for me because this game is about winning a contest. And then you have to do it. It's not like a sport like basketball where one team has the ball, the other gets it. It is a contest and you have to make a decision to go for the ball. I would find it unrealistic to stay right there. He has to decide that he can't go for a ball because he might make contact in a situation where a ball could bounce either way. I think there was no other alternative in that situation. It's a football collision that's unavoidable, and I think it's realistic what he did in that situation.
If I had the speedo on him, and we can watch it a number of times, if we had the speedo on him right at the last point when he realises, I reckon he slows down. Not puts the brakes on at all. He just doesn't follow through like you would if he had the ball. If he had the ball, he would have tucked up and really made big contact.
Yeah.
But I think that split second when he didn't know he had the ball, he followed through. He could have protected himself and put his arm up. He could have done anything in that situation, but he continued on that line with his arms down.
Well, I see it differently. You've all heard my thoughts.
What do you want the game to do?
I think some players have a happy knack of finding themselves striking players and bumping players or making contact with players in the absolute sweet spot every time. It's just an amazing coincidence.
But what do you want the game to tell the players to do in that situation?
Well, I think the Jackson Archer discussion's a good one because Jackson Archer come in at a speed that they said he couldn't handle. I think this is similar. There's a speed where you have no guarantees. When you enter the contest, you have no guarantees. Now, your opinion is, well, that's footy, and that's fine. But there is a flip side to it, which is going to be fought out in a legal sense down the path regarding concussion. And I just don't think we can say that's part of our game without copping the financial impact and the long-term impact to the game. So we've got to balance both things. Now, the fact that we've talked about it for 4 days is a win for the game. And we've thrashed out our own different thoughts, and if it stays in the game, well, so be it. But I'm as happy just to see it suspended and rubbed out. OK, we have to attack contests in a different manner. Michael Voss said exactly those words in the post-match on Saturday. He said, well, we coach our players to not go in at reckless speed because you just get yourself in trouble. You can't run a red light in essence. So there are conflicting views around the competition. This is the beauty of our game. You can see it differently. And the 3 or 4 people that are involved tonight, how they see it impacts tonight. But I don't think we'll get any great answers.
Yeah, that's the worry about what the verdict will get in a minute. Are we going to be absolutely clear on what a player can and can't do approaching a contest, or are we still going to be none the wiser?
Can I ask you a question then? Did he contest the ball in your view?
His sole intention when he left his man to attack the contest was to go after the footy. But I think there's a point in time for players that have seen that situation a lot. They know it. Gee, this is going to be fine line. So Michael Voss says when you know it's going to be fine line, you have to assess your duty of care to your opposition or run the red light. And if you miss, great. If you hit him, trouble.
All right, the wait is over. Big breaking news. Let's head into the newsroom with David Zeta. The verdict's in. The biggest decision of a decade. Zeets, what have we got?
Thanks for helping me out, guys. They have upheld Stephen May's ban. It is a 3-match ban that has been upheld by the AFL Tribunal. That was as lengthy a deliberation period as I can remember. Certainly this year, it's got it beaten by quite a length. Now the Ds have to decide whether they appeal or not. It was a lengthy deliberation. Ultimately, though, they found that Stephen May could and should have acted differently than he did in the circumstances. As I said, these reasons have just come through as we speak now. So they ultimately find he had a duty of care he did not fulfil effectively and to the extent that a reasonable player would in these specific circumstances. There was the Alex Pearce incident that was referenced. They said this was different in some aspects. And ultimately, Stephen May now a 3-match ban that is going to stand unless the Ds lodge an appeal and are successful.
So can you run us through exactly what was put to the tribunal by Stephen May? What was his case? What was the questions that he was asked?
Well, he said, and he's always been very honest, Stephen May, sometimes to a fault. He said that he at all times thought he was going to get to the ball. The ball bounced. The last bounce of that ball went towards Evans. And now Stephen May said because the ball was skidding all night, he wasn't expecting the ball to come towards Evans. He was expecting it to come towards him. And that's why after this incident, you can see Stephen May put his arms out almost surprised. He said, I was shocked that this occurred. You can see it there. His arms go out. He is just flabbergasted that he has made contact with Evans in the way that he did. And it clearly rattled him. And Simon Goodwin said on 360 afterwards, it rattled him even when he went to the bench. And he was tonight. His evidence was categoric that he did not intend to bump. The AFL admitted he didn't intend to bump. They just said this was rough conduct. So it wasn't reasonable in the circumstances, taking the bumping action out of it. So he was adamant the whole way through that he has done nothing wrong and he had no other alternative than to do what he did on the night.
And Zeitz, you just said that the AFL said that he could and should have approached the contest differently. Did they give an explanation on what he should have done as an alternative to what he did do?
Well, they said he should have slowed his momentum or potentially changed his posture in the lead up to the incident. Now, the D's used the biomechanist to explain just how little time was left for him to make a decision in this instance, and ultimately the AFL Tribunal doesn't agree. Now, they have gone through an extensive list of reasons, which we'll publish later on, and I'm sure people will have their say on that. But ultimately, the AFL said he could and should have acted differently than he did in the circumstances. So clearly, he could have taken more care than he did in their eyes.
So this is coming back to the vision again, and I want to, after Stephen takes 3 steps, is where I want to pause it. So not about here. So if we just go back 3 frames, I reckon they're saying when you know contact is hot, no, back, keep going back, going back. When you can see him lower and start to really stride, really gather some about here.
But is that not a 50-50
well, hang on, I'll finish and you can tear me apart, right? Here, they're saying now you have a duty of care, right? So what happens from here, you make your own decisions. The game is now saying, if we roll that slowly now, you'll see he gathers momentum and then a collision of sorts is inevitable. The AFL are clearly saying the game has changed and you now have to assess your role and the duty of care to your opposition from there forward. So I fundamentally agree with that.
Slowing down 3 steps before the contest.
Just
as
when
opposed
you
to
know, when you can't be in control. If you're out of control arriving, having made that decision, you're in trouble, which I think's a good thing for the game, personally.
I think it's rubbish. I think it's 8 inches, that ball bounces the other way. Stephen May gets that ball.
Yeah, but that's the 8 inches we're arguing, right? I'm not saying... You're arguing that 8 inches. The AFL are arguing the decision to absolutely be going flat chat with a collision inevitable. You have to make sure you miss the head.
So, righto. So now we're clear, Joey.
Saying.
What they're saying now is we've got a contact sport into a caution sport. So you've got to approach that with caution.
Yeah, and tackle. They're going to say now saying that Stephen May has to decide that I'm going to slow down and wait for him to get the ball. He's saying I'm going to wait.
That's the fabric of our game.
That is the fabric game. He's saying I'm going to wait for a player to get the ball and then tackle him.
Or miss the head. Miss the head.
If you're going
to go for the ball, that you have to get lower than the head.
Hold that for a thought. Let's let David Zeta go before we bash up everyone on this panel.
Just destroy me.
Let's get back into the newsroom.
Zeke's come in here, please. I need help.
It's 2 on 1 in here.
Actually, stay there. You're not going to be much use by the look
head eye contact in the newsroom later on. Zeets, appreciate your efforts. It's been a long night for you. You can go home now, but Stephen May's been dealt the 3-week ban. Thanks very much.
Final word, Zeets. A good decision for the game or not, in your opinion?
I don't know if you can approach the contest in the way that he did in 2025, but I understand this was as difficult a call as the tribunal would have had to make, and the AFL in referring it here in the first place. Melbourne, I think, are well within their rights. I would say they would consider an appeal very strongly, given how significant this case is and given how long it took for the tribunal just to get to that outcome.
All right, I'm going to approach you on the corridor the same way, so look out, Zeets. Have a good night, David. You've been outstanding.
Well done.
He's already on Dorcas Street right now.
I just want to...
He's quick to exit confrontation.
There's been plenty of confrontation.
We lost
a long way. We lost. But you know what? There's 5 jokers in the deck. He cheats every time. It's been a great show on First Crack. All kicks off tomorrow night, Thursday night footy on Fox. Hawks and Carlton from the G, 6:30 on Fox Footy.